On a normal day.
Yeah, on a normal day.
Yes.
On a normal day.
Because on a normal day in Accra is 28.
28, yeah.
Yeah, but this morning, what's
last
on my
month,
mind?
Nairobi was doing 16, 15.
Yeah. What's on my mind? In fact, first time I went to Nairobi, though, I was very shocked about how cold it was. Yeah. First time on my mind, though, I saw a blast in Lebanon. And there are two things. I had to go out to citizens there because, it makes me remember the blast at Atomic Junction, the explosion. And, even my camera shook as I was watching the food. That's how serious it was. I'm hoping that we will learn lessons from that in terms of what we're doing. Kojo, you were saying that you passed Atomic Junction recently. What did you see?
Yes, I passed there yesterday, and I saw a lot of construction work going on there. And the question I asked myself was, I hope that the authorities have put in place all the safety measures to ensure that, because look, there are new joints coming up. There's this new huge building opposite the place that the explosion happened. And now the Zixon fuel stations are still there. The Bina fuel station, the Total has reopened. The gas station hasn't reopened. Churches have returned to that particular space. The traffic is back and the chaos has returned. So usually when some of these things happen, we need to ask ourselves the questions that have we put in place the right safety protocols to ensure that nothing like that happens there again.
Okay, now just to say that we have lots of Lebanese in Ghana, we really pray for them because this is serious. We are told over almost 3,000 people are injured. They've not started getting the death toll, but it is serious. To think that the world is dealing with COVID-19, to have this type of explosion is very serious.
Yeah, initially people thought it was a terrorist attack or something, but then later it looks like it was just
like some chemical
poor storage practices.
Yeah, very serious. Anyway, what do you have in the graphic?
Well, front page of the Daily Graphic says that sacrifice for national development. Speaker tasks nation. Professor Aaron Michael Kwe in a very nice white kaftan on the front page of the paper. Don't misconstrue border closure, NPP tells NDC, but NDC insists on military withdrawal. And good news, prime suspect in Kafaba lynching arrested.
That is also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Kafaba lynching case, fetish priestess grabbed. Residents demo against more functioning of Aoshi Highway traffic lights. Speaker eulogizes country's forebears. President cuts sword for Nsuka Basin Drainage Project. And Kusia rally support for Kwesi Korte.
Front page of the Daily Statesman newspaper, NDC faces implosion as Ahoy's plots Rawlings' downfall for Mahama. Ghanaians can attest to my good work, President Akufo-Addo, and Akufo-Addo makes a strong case for made in Ghana products.
Now, the Finder, NPP accuses Mahama of, quote, hate for votes campaign in voter region. Locally assembled VW cars shape Nanado's Ghana Automobile Hub agenda. Potential free trade pitfalls could fuel massive exploitation of Africa. March and April missed revenue targets before ICUMS was deployed in June. And this is according to the GRA.
Front page of the Herald newspaper, very worrying story. Bernard, NPP and NDC caught up in ethnicity squabble over LS and others. Supreme Court throws out Philip Addison. Methodist Church head blesses NDC running mate.
Now the Chronicle, Ahoy fires double barrels, disrupts Rawlings, bad timing for Mahama. Now trainee teachers doing national services backed by law. This is the head of the NSS. NPP accuses NDC of engaging in tribal politics, and Chebi gets ready for Akufo-Addo's second term.
The Daily Guide has the arrest of the witch killer, as they call her, Sherina Mohammed alias Hajia Filipina. I groomed babies with sharp teeth is also on the front page of the paper.
Now, the New Crusading Guide, National Security NAB 24 Togolese for sneaking to register. UPSC Vice Chancellor reappointed to second term. NDC desperately trying to undermine registration exercise. This is the chairman of the NPP, Freddie Blay. And Occupy Ghana advocates justice for Equiadent. Now, Trade Ministry says that they're also on course to reduce the import bill as VW unveils newly assembled vehicles in Ghana.
Front page of the BNFT comes with an interesting message from the president. Let's rely on what we make, not imports, according to him. Government considers move to reopen air borders. Proposal goes to president this week. Cares can adversely affect debt stock if not properly managed.
Now, the publisher, Kafaba Witch Priestess, arrested. Prof. Ahoy exposes Rawlings. Aoshi residents go mad over 40 traffic lights. And GRA confirms revenue shortfall.
Let me take you to Citi Business News first, and the stories there. Construction Industry Chamber is worried over rising cost of building materials. Kojo, you have a testimony there. Stop issuing insurance policy to motorcycles for commercial purposes. NIC cautions. Meanwhile, Reuters poll suggests cocoa prices may drop by 10% due to COVID-19. And Unipass implementation, GRA debunks claims of not meeting revenue target at Tema Port. Now, let me take you to citynewsroom.com. Lots of stories. Kodio is unhappy with abuse of the guarantor system in the ongoing voter registration exercise. Also, MPP is not seeking to suppress votes in Volta. This is Mustafa Hamid. Bridget Jogbenuku, 2 others, pick forms for PPP flag bearer race. And as we've been told, arrested priestess faces court today. If you go to myjournline.com, speak against ethnocentrism and lawlessness. Sami Jemfi to Ghanaians. Also, Awish residents block roads, demonstrate over 40 traffic lights. That was in the news as well. And the other story, 9 more die as Ghana records 798 new COVID-19 cases. If you go to Star News, Kennedy Japan twisting facts to denigrate Dufour. This is according to ASEPA. Meanwhile, Chinebu Akodia students protest over strict supervision. The level of lawlessness in the secondary schools these days is just unbelievable. Now, GNA's lead story, Okoye says our independence was the outcome of pluralistic efforts and collective wisdom during the lecture yesterday at the Founders' Day. Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo cut short for the Nsukkwao drainage improvement system, and NDC says military presence is intimidating our members at registration centers. Globally, we have Lebanon mourns after huge Beirut blast kills 100, more than 4,000 injured. This is the BBC's Middle Eastern correspondent. And there's also a video. Suddenly, I lost my hearing. I was too close. Eyewitnesses describe the impact. So let's start locally, guys. Where do you want to go from?
Well, there's a lot happening in the political space.
Yes.
MPP and NDC are everywhere.
So visuals of alleged military intimidation, press conferences here and there.
From there. So I'll start from page 20 of the daily graphic on the border closure situation. Don't misconstrue border closure, MPP tells NDC, but NDC insists on military withdrawal. The New Patriotic Party has urged the NDC to stop the deliberate attempt to confuse genuine efforts to secure the country's borders to mean that the NPP is preventing Ghanaians from taking part in the ongoing registration exercise. At a press conference in Accra yesterday addressed by the national chairman of the party, Mr. Freddie Wasimeu-Blay, the NPP wondered why the NDC would resort to undermine the simple, civil and peaceful exercise of voter registration into one of ethnocentrism through outright fabrications, needless exaggerations, and old-fashioned fear-mongering and propaganda tactics. But the NDC has dismissed the MPP's assertions and called for the immediate withdrawal of military personnel deployed to some parts of the country in relation to the ongoing mass voters registration exercise. So this is where we are with the two parties.
Let me give you some more details. So the City Newsroom, the NDC has released visuals of alleged military intimidation and voter suppression. The story says opposition party released video and photo evidence of supposed military intimidation of Ghanaians in the ongoing voter registration exercise. Officials of the opposition party say such actions are calculated attempts by the governing MPP to suppress votes in NDC strongholds. The party released the visuals following a challenge thrown it by the Minister for Defense, Dominic Nito, for the party to provide evidence of its military intimidation and voter suppression claims. Addressing a press conference at the headquarters yesterday, National Communication Officer of the party, Sami Jemfi, referenced recent pockets of violence at some registration centers and developments at Banda, where residents in settler communities were allegedly prevented by the military from registering in the voter registration exercise. He also recounts similar happenings in the Afo-Ano North constituency, Setre Afram Plains, Ketu South, and Oti and Central region. He spoke about other incidents in the Sojaman, Atiwa East, and other parts of the Eastern region. And then, for example, in the Afo-Ano region, he insisted that the armed military personnel were aiding electoral commission officers to deny hundreds of people of northern descent, predominantly of the Gruna tribe, from taking part in the registration, despite a majority of them possessing Ghana cards, one of the requirements needed to register. Now, let me give you the MPP's reaction. Mustafa Hamid says the party is not, or the government is not, in to suppress votes in any part of the country. A deputy campaign manager in charge of communication for MPP, Mustafa Hamid, has debunked claims that the MPP government is seeking to suppress votes, particularly in the voter region ahead of the December poll. What the NDC is doing is to pitch us, the MPP, against the group of the voter region. All that we are asking for is Ghanaians to register, Ghanaians, not foreigners, before coming here. I checked the figures from the EC website, and over 800,000 people have registered in the voter region. Over 800,000 is just 100,000 short from the 2016 figures. Now, if people are being suppressed in the region, will we have such figures coming in from there? I'm very sure by the time EC finishes registration, they will hit the 900,000 mark in the region. Where is the suppression, he says.
Okay, let's go to...
Let me give you one more. The EC has also spoken.
Kodio is also speaking.
Yes, on page 3. Be vigilant and don't aid foreigners to vote. EC charges Ghanaians. The chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, has pointed out that all Ghanaians are charged with the responsibility to be vigilant and draw the attention of security agencies and registration officials to situations where persons who are ineligible, especially foreigners, make attempts to take part in the voter registration exercise. We call on stakeholders, citizens, and the police to be vigilant. I do not believe that any of us can go to Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin, or Niger for that matter, and go and register to vote as citizens there, the EC chair said.
Meanwhile, a fundamental challenge in the compilation of the new register is the widespread abuse of the guarantor system.
What's bound to happen?
This is according to the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODIO. As the EC prepares to wrap up the exercise on Thursday, August the 6th, CODIO says the lack of due diligence in the application of that protocol threatens the legality of the guarantor system. Aside from the national identification card and the Ghana passport being accepted, 2 persons who have already been captured on the new register can vouch for a person to register. CODIO has deployed 100 observers for the mass registration exercise and says it is appalled by the level of abuse of this particular arrangement. The project manager Rodafo spoke on Eyewitness News, says despite some other successes talked in the exercise, the indiscriminate use of guarantor remains a major setback. And just final one. Imani also says they are EC's multiple registration admission is suspicious. This story is on Star FM Online. A senior vice president of Imani, Kofi Bent, has expressed worry about multiple registration in the ongoing voter registration exercise, which has been confirmed by the EC. Imani is even more worried about the whopping $100 million the commission claims to have spent in acquiring the BVDs, regardless of several flaggings and suspicions about the entire ongoing voter registration exercise.
Now, the National Peace Council has inaugurated a Vigilantism Committee. A committee to monitor the code of conduct has been inaugurated. Now, members of the 10-member committee, which is here to choose a chairman, Mr. Vincent Zuma from WANEP. There are people from different areas, and these people are supposed to monitor whatever is happening this electoral period to ensure the right thing is done. Now, let me take you to the publisher. Page 2 of the paper. Aoshi residents go mad over 40 traffic lights. Now, the story says hundreds of residents of Aoshi Mangwasi yesterday besieged a section of the Ablekuma Highway to demand the repair of traffic lights on the stretch. Their protest was sparked by the death of a 4-year-old boy who was run over and killed on Monday.
Charlie.
The protest attracted heavy police and military presence to try and calm tensions. Now, some of the angry residents who spoke to Citi News said they had suffered too many casualties on the road.
Oh, Charlie.
Now, the assemblyman for Aoshi, Obed Mentodro, says the assembly has made several attempts to get the bridge fixed in the area to make people cross the road safely. He also admitted the fatalities on the road were out of hand. And according to him, he said this, and I quote, "Since I came, I have witnessed not less than 10 people being knocked down by vehicles. In all these situations, I try to forward it to the MCE to see how best we can resolve the issue."
Okay.
But nothing is being done. So a 4-year-old boy was killed.
Yeah,
on
we had the
Monday.
MC this morning. Now,
Bernard, I have 2 stories for you on page 16 of the Daily Graphic. Prime suspect in Kafaba lynching arrested. The prime suspect in the lynching of the 90-year-old woman, Madam Mekada, at Kafaba in the East Gonja municipality in the Savannah region has been arrested by the Yeji police in the Bono East region. The suspect, who has been identified as Serena Mohammed, aged 40, was arrested in Yeji last Monday night and sent to the Salaga Divisional Police Headquarters and later transferred to the Regional Police Headquarters at Damongo to assist in investigations. He said the suspect had, according to the police, the suspect had been charged provisionally with murder and will be put before the Bole District Court today. The arrest of Serena, aka Alhajia, the main suspect, brings to 8 the number of suspects so far arrested in connection with the gruesome murder of Madame Dente. Now, on the same page, there's a story related to the WASI. Teacher interdicted for exam malpractice. There are 2 stories I put together on this one. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Kwisupu Kwamankwa, has directed that a mathematics tutor of the Kade Senior High Technical School in the Eastern Region, Mr. Ivan Siabua, be interdicted. Briefing the Daily Graphic yesterday on the directive, he said Mr. Eboa, who was the invigilator of the integrated science paper in the ongoing WASI, which was written last Monday, used his position to engage in an examination malpractice. According to Professor Kwesi Upokwama, Mr. Eboa took a snapshot of the questions and sent it outside for someone to solve and send the solution back to him via WhatsApp.
Well, there's another bizarre one here.
Yes,
the students are protesting over strict supervision.
Yes, let me give you that. In a related development, the District Security Committee of Seche Kumewu in the Ashanti region has set up a 3-member committee to investigate the issues that led to the near boycott of the WASI by final year students of Chinebo Akudia Senior High School. The committee, which is headed by the district director of education, starts to ascertain the veracity of allegations of ill treatment leveled against the headmaster, Mr. Francis Ewa, by students. On Monday, students went to the on rampage, overturned tables and benches at the dining hall, and refused to eat food prepared for them while they threatened to boycott the examination if the headmaster was not sacked. They accused the headmaster of being too strict and also unjustifiably seizing and destroying the mobile phone of an invigilator. The students claimed the headmaster was too strict on invigilators and that the seating arrangements in the examination halls were not friendly to them.
For copying. This level of indiscipline, I don't understand. Now, let me give you 3 quick construction stories. Akufo-Addo cuts sword for the Nsukka Basin Drainage Project, Koforidia. This story is on citinewsroom.com. This
also
is
here in the
under the Ghana Secondary City Support Program. Now, the Ghana Secondary City Support Program was launched 7th May 2019. Goal to improve urban management and basic urban services in the 25 participating municipal assemblies. Cutting the sword, the president said that the New Jabin Assembly has identified flooding as a major risk to the lives and livelihoods of persons living in Nsukka, Zongo, 2 Streams, Abungri, and other communities within the municipality. And the president explained that the project will deliver a storm drain that will minimize flooding in the identified communities at the cost of 15 million cedis and packaged into 7 lots.
I know this area very well. Whilst we construct the drainage, we should also ensure that people don't build in the waterways. Because if you go to some of those areas, people are building in waterways, blocking the flow.
Second construction story. Return to site or your contracts will be cancelled. Napo to get fund contractors. This is still citinewsroom.com. Education Minister Matthew Poku Prempeh has warned contractors working on get fund projects in beneficiary schools that they risk losing their contracts if they do not return to work immediately at once. The minister was speaking in Kumasi at an inauguration of the Get Fund Mid Ghana office. Also says all debts piled for contracts awarded since 2016 have been cleared by the current government. Let me repeat. All debts piled for contracts awarded since 2016 have been cleared by the current administration. Quote, if the contract was awarded in 2017 and you put in your certificate, it takes about 6 weeks to get paid. Of course, it's much better than the years of unpaid contracts. Napo said. Final story. Construction Industry Chamber says they are worried over rising cost of building materials. CitiBusinessNews.com. The chamber has expressed concern about the rising cost of building materials, particularly cement, and its impact on the cost of housing. Considering the country's huge housing deficit and the rising cost of rent, it is imperative that government takes steps to ensure a reasonable pricing of goods and services in the manufacturing sector. Emmanuel Cherry told Citi Business News, government must pay critical attention to the industry and address bottlenecks affecting the group.
Now, another big story for education and construction. The government of Ghana has secured a loan of $90 million from the Republic of Korea, and they are going to use it to construct the initial infrastructure we need for the University of Environment and Sustainable Development. So they've put up...
Where is that university?
It's going to be at Bunso.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they've put up an invitation for bids. They need contractors to bid to build the headquarters of the school, the School of Agric, School of Engineering, and other support facilities. In addition, supply and installation of ICT and educational equipment. This is big, $90 million to begin the construction.
Well, let me give you one story, but not that should make some people happy. Government considers move to reopen air borders. Front page of the BNFT. The Ministry of Aviation will be sending a comprehensive proposal to the President this week on how it plans to reopen the nation's air borders. The proposal has a detailed plan recommending a number of scenarios, impact analysis, and control mechanisms that can be introduced to hugely mitigate the fear of importation of COVID-19 cases when the air borders are finally
now, Kojo, there's a lot of reaction to the Ahoy book still in the news.
Yes. If you check the Chronicle, there are 2 stories on this. Ahoy fires double salvo, and the story basically is referring to the events that the book captured from pages 198 to 209, the Beirut event.
Oh.
Yes.
You mean the Abu Bontoshe? I have a reaction.
There's another one.
No, because Abu Bontoshe. Abu Bontoshe.
Now, not Benin.
No, it's in the book. I'm not the one quoting.
I know, I'm just laughing.
No, the man said the small group of government officials who knew about the issue referred to it as the Abu Bontoshe affair. Now, let me give you another one, Kojo.
Yeah.
There's a disclaimer that I just got in my inbox from Dr. Edodomane Buama, former Minister of Communication. It reads Professor Kwame Ahoy's book, Working with Rawlings, disclaimer. I have read excerpts of Professor Ahoy's book, Working with Rawlings, that appear to suggest that I was among a group of young politicians who were purposely engaged by him and others to respond to and talk back at former President Rawlings for the latest attack on the personality of the late President Mills. Respectfully, I need to place on record that this claim is wholly and completely inaccurate and untrue. As a young man and a politician with core convictions, I was never engaged, nor could I have allowed myself to be used by anyone to talk back at former President Rawlings. My principal stance in defending the late Professor Mills without insults against attacks I thought were undeserved was born out of my respect and appreciation of the personality of the late President Mills, his pureness of heart and other sterling and unique qualities that he possessed to a fault. The suggestion that my defense of the late Professor Mills was part of a deliberate strategy by elders is irksome to me. It does not reflect my personality as a politician of conviction and not of convenience. So it's basically saying that
Kwame
Ahoy they lie.
Everybody should.
Charlie, this is serious matter.
Everybody who has been mentioned to reissue their statement.
I'm telling you because this is the third statement you've seen.
Page 2 of the Statesman.
Charlie.
Ahoy's fight against Rawlings for control to lead to inflation in NDC. The nationwide unity talks by the NDC following its 2016 electoral defeat appears not to have been able to do the magic of uniting the party. In less than 4 months to the 2020 polls, the party faces potential implosion triggered by what is seen as a plot from the Ahoys to dwindle the influence of former President Jerry John Rawlings, the party's founder. This follows the release of a book described by many as an attempt to delink Rawlings from the party he founded by dwarfing him under flag bearer John Dramani Mahama.
Meanwhile, Rawlings didn't beat his vice president, Akatis Professor Ahoy, and this one, the excerpt is from the interview with Samens, who said, but he gave him a blow. Then he said, no, he didn't give him a blow. That Steve Obimpe came into the meeting. Let me give you a final one. Bridget Jogbenuku, 2 others pick forms for PPP flag bearership race. 3 persons have picked up nomination forms to contest the flag bearership for the Progressive People's Party. They are Bridget Jogbenuku, the former running mate for 2016, William Dookbo, and Dr. Francis Obeng. For the first time since the party was founded, Dr. Bakwesi Ndom will not take part in the primaries. Could you?
Now, there's an issue to do with the GRA and the ICU.
Incomes.
Yes, incomes. March and April missed revenue targets were before ICOMS was deployed in June. This is according to the GRA. They've released this statement because there are lots of people who believe that the targets were missed because ICOMS is not giving us the right results. And the GRA released a statement signed by Mrs. Florence Asante, Assistant Commissioner, Communication and Head, said that they blamed the situation on the stretched targets, and that she explained that in March 2020 the variance was about 400 million Ghana cedis. But the publisher says that the Ghana Revenue Authority has issued an inconsistent press statement, which in one breath clearly confirms that there was a shortfall of about 45% in revenue targets at the Tema ports for the month of June. But the same statement claims media reports which highlighted the shortfall of the same 45% was misleading. And it goes on and on and on to link it to ICOMS and all the...
There's a lot happening in there.
Yeah.
We will end with the Lebanon story. BBC reports that Lebanon in mourning after massive explosion. Lebanon is in mourning after a huge explosion in the capital Beirut killed at least 100 people and injured more than 4,000 others yesterday. The whole city was shaken by the blast, which began with a fire at the port, which exploded in a mushroom cloud. The president said 2,750 tons of ammonium nitrate had been stored unsafely in a warehouse for 6 years. He scheduled a cabinet meeting for Wednesday and said a 2-week state of emergency should be declared. That's all we have time for. There's a lot more when we come back. This is Citi Breakfast Show. Don't go away.